I've been hearing about these so-called Christians, quote unquote, that want to tell they're really upset by the evangelical Christians, which, I got some problems with them too. But the way they go about it, of course, they're Soros funded. We're talking like people like Rob Reiner and this guy, what's his name? Russell Moore, David French. Um, they're not all in the same camp. Russell Moore and David French are. They're saying that they are Christians, or no, they're not saying they are Christians. I don't think they're just critical of Christian evangelical Christians, and so is Rob Ryan. Anyway, screw them. They're fake. They don't know what they're talking about. They're Democrats. So they're more like they're partisan still, right? Which, if you're a true Christian, wouldn't really be partisan so much. You wouldn't be endorsing candidates and stuff like that if you're a real Christian. That's what I think, 'cause there's just, I don't know, it doesn't work out. Politics and religion. The thing you would advocate for, if you're going to push for something, it's not a theocratic fascist state. If you're a true Christian, what you're going to push for as a Christian is everybody's rights. So what you're going to push for is a secular democracy, which is then guarantees the freedoms of people to practice religion however they want to. If they want to be Satanist or Islamic or Hindu or Buddhist or Christians or whatever, the state shouldn't have anything to say about that. The state says, I guarantee your right to go off and do what you want as you will. Now, when you're out in a publicly funded area or in a public place and you're claiming you have the only answer and that everyone else is wrong and demonic and that your answer is the only correct answer, you're okay to do that. You're fine to do that. You're still within free speech when you're doing that. If you're like a Wahhabist Islamic person, or you're a Zionist, or you're a Christian evangelical, anyone in those three camps of heinously wrong religious people, but still they have their rights, okay? The Zionist has their rights to say all Arab people are animal pigs who should die. And the Jews are the only ones who, Jews from Europe are the ones who get to take all of Israel back from the locals. We're going to just show up and take it from the locals, and that's cool. God blesses this. If you're in that heinous camp of people, sometimes you might be crossing over. Now you're going beyond free speech, though. Now you're actually funding and part of a genocide, right? So now you're a Nazi at that point. Are you just a Nazi supporter, or are you a Nazi? Have you yourself ever grabbed somebody you thought was Arabic in Palestine and abused them, thrown them into a torture chamber, or taken them, disappeared them, shot them, sniped at them? If you've done any of those things, no, that's of course not free speech. Right now, you're a Zionist, who's a Nazi, also. But anyway, so free speech for all religions, free speech until you start saying everyone has to do it my way, and you start taking actions to make that happen. So you start setting up a Christian theology, a Christian theocratic state somewhere. Now you're a fascist. You start setting up a Wahhabist, a Sharia law somewhere, imposing that on others. Now you're an Islamo-fascist. So fascism's telling other people what they gotta have to do, how they have to believe, right? Secular liberal democracy fights for everyone to be able to do how they will, and that there is no one religion associated with the state. And that's what should be happening in Palestine. That's what should be happening here in America. Unfortunately, it's not. And the fact that we're seeing, the world is seeing one theocratic, the group of Zionists, which are actively imposing their religious theo-fascism on people there and conducting a genocide. I think it's also kind of emboldened, other people, right? The Wahhabists and ISIS and the Islamo-fascists that the CIA has backed in the past. The Wahhabists that we tend to support in Syria, for example, the Shia extremist and Wahhabist, both we support. They're fine with setting up a Sharia police state kind of thing. Women can't be seen without burqas and stuff like that. It's crazy. And the Zionists are just totally happy to claim that Israel's going to be some kind of Jewish state, Jewish only, right? We're going along with that now. It's crazy. But we have to promote and critique these religions and these theocratic movements without becoming sort of snarky, insulting idiots for the left too. And that's kind of what I was starting out with by talking about Russell Moore. These snarky critics, they don't really know what they're talking about. What the guys, Rob Reiner, he doesn't really have any contact with average working class Americans. He loves to critique them and find these extreme examples of them and make movies about them, make them parody them, kind of belittle them. And that's not helping either. So just not helping. Don't be snarky. Don't be stupid. You do you and let others do what they want to do. And don't try to conflate January 6th with the Christians or calling there some kind of Christians, that's all stupid. That's completely stupid. January 6th was a protest. It went a little wrong, had a little too many FBI provocateurs in the group, and of course the American left is not willing to admit that or look at that, so they're completely idiotic when it comes to how they talk about January 6th and what happened to January 6th. January 6th was a setup trying to provoke civil war, and the rich people would love to see us hating each other, however they can do that, right? They're really stoking up the race thing the most, and gender, and since most Americans are totally cool with gays and gay marriage now, they're not triggered by that anymore. It's not a big deal. It's the cool. Gays should have just gay rights. Everybody agrees, gay rights. But do I get the right to transition your child behind your back while they come to school? So your child comes to school, prepubescent child comes to school. Hey, I'm having a good time. They get to school and there's this kind of conformity pressure now, this kind of thing. Hey, maybe you're not born how God made you. Maybe you're actually a girl. I think you're a girl. That would be cool. That's trendy. You're a girl. You should transition to a girl. And then the counselor at the school says, yeah, you're a girl. You're experiencing dysphoria. So we're going to just go ahead and just give you the hormone replacement pills. Just start doing that. And sign you up for some kind of surgery, maybe a mastectomy or a penectomy, whatever. We might castrate you or chop off your boobs at school, and that's totally cool. So that is triggering, right? That's very triggering for a lot of parents. So now the rich people, they know what triggers you. Abortion's still a good one. Abortion's still really distracting for a lot of people too. So rich people love to push that on the plebes and get them talking about abortion. Now they're talking about transgender issues and freaked out about that. And when nobody really cares, right? We have economic issues and we're at war. Right? We're like in Third World War, and the deep state, the militarists that Eisenhower tried to warn us about, they've completely taken over. The CIA is kind of running things. We have a huge CIA problem. But rather than talking about that, we're going to be talking about abortion, in vitro fertilization, and stuff like that. The rich people love to place that before your eyes. And I'm hearing that there's one group of rich people that want us to go to civil war this summer. They would love to see 2025 be the year of just gays and Christians just stabbing each other in the streets, and blacks and whites just hating each other, and just every time a black sees a white person, they're just totally triggered. Anti-white racism, just stoked up to level 12. That's kind of what they're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of stupid people are falling for it. That's too bad. I say, hey, if they want to throw a race war, let's just don't show up for it. Let's promote unity and love instead. Unity and love and understanding. Christian values. Who knew, right? But yeah, no, we're all culturally jacked up right now. It's totally obvious. That's what's going on. And there's like a ignorant coastal liberal groups. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you about the Trump voters and how evil they are when they don't even actually know any Trump voters, and just, oh my God, this racist supremacy, Jeff, this white supremacy. Oh my God, you're totally focused on this right now. Don't ever look at what Raytheon is doing, our West Exec, our defense contractors, or who's making money or starting wars. Don't look at any of that kind of stuff, but just be totally tweaked out about your white neighbor. Probably your white male neighbor is probably like a white supremacist. He probably hates you. And so, yeah, be freaked out about that. Alienate them. Alienate each other. Don't talk amongst yourselves. Experience each other through our media filter only, okay? Listen to our media filter, and then you'll know what to think about all them. Those Christians out there. Oh my God, they're Christians. Oh my God, I'm so scared of them. They're theo-fascist. Oh my God, Oh my God, they're the abortion people. They just want everybody to get an abortion. They just love abortions, I mean, you're going to be freaked out of your mind. You're not going to know what you're talking about. While we're kind of bombing countries in Africa, not declaring war. And we're bombing places, right? And like Yemen, and there's a genocide going on in Palestine right now, and we're not left, right, center. Nobody seems to be doing. I mean, there's a nice, big, lots of pro-Palestinian marchers, lots of movement on campus. Trump's completely wrong to conflate pro-Palestinian language and speech with some kind of like terrorism you're not allowed to do. No, that's wrong, bro. I'm going to say Israel is wrong. I'm going to go on a campus and yell it. Israel is conducting a genocide, because that's free speech. And don't say anything about don't touch me. Don't touch me or my constitutional rights. If I'm on speech and all I'm saying is Israel is wrong, then I have the right to say that, bro. And Trump or anybody else who comes after me for saying that, you're the Nazi now, right? So lots of Nazi BS out there right now. Free speech, love, promote love and understanding. Don't be talking crap about religions you don't know anything about, or people in the middle of the country you don't know anything about. Just grow a brain, shut up, focus on economics, the environment, but not climate change, which is another idiot thing. Local things you can actually do to preserve your environment locally against corporate demons that are coming for the planet, right? That's the environmental thing. When you're going to think climate change, you're maybe one of the global pigs that are ruining the whole world. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Because climate change doesn't mean anything. All right, that's enough for today's